Alright guys, so now what we want to do is display our education credentials and experience credentials on our dashboard. We want them displayed in the table. And remember, when we're looking at our dashboard, our profile is stored in the state. And the education and experience are both just arrays inside of our profile. So we already have access to them. We don't have to make any extra requests or anything like that. We are going to have separate components for education and experience. We're just going to pass along what we already have in the state into those subcomponents, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and create, let's actually open up our dashboard component itself, and let's go up to the top here and let's import, let's say import experience from /experience, which we haven't created yet. And then we just want that to display, the experience component to display right here where we put this to do. Right under the profile actions, we'll say experience. Now we want to pass in our experiences array, which we can now access through the profile. Okay, our profile is being filled once we get it from this get current profile. So and we set it right here. We used destructuring to get it from the properties, or get it from the props, put it into that profile. So all we have to do now is simply pass in, we'll say experiences, should we call it experiences, let's say experience. So experience equals profile dot experience. Okay, so we're passing that in as a property, and this is just the array of experiences. We don't need to access any other profile information within this component. It's just a simple table with experiences. So this is all we need to pass in. So let's save that, and let's create inside the dashboard folder, since it's a subcomponent of the dashboard, we're going to create it inside that folder and call it experience.js. Alright, now this experience.js file, it's going to be a class-based component. Experience, and we're going to move the export default down here. Okay, and let's bring in some stuff here. So we'll bring in connect. Let's bring in prop types. And let's bring in with router, because the reason we're bringing in with router is because we're actually going to have an action to delete an experience from inside here. And once we delete it, we want to just basically redirect to our dashboard. So that's the reason we're going to bring that in. Okay, let's see, we're going to be using a date library called Moment, but I'll just hold off on that for now. I think that should be good for now. Now down here, let's export connect, and let's wrap this with router. Okay, and then in here, let's say map state to props. Actually, no, never mind. We're not mapping state to props. This is going to be null. So basically, we already have access to our experiences because they got passed in as a property. So what we'll do is in the render, let's go above the return, and let's say const experience, and we'll set it to this dot props dot experience, which is being passed in. That's an array. We want to map through that array, Okay, so we'll say for each one we'll call it exp, and then we want to go ahead and render a table row for each one. All right, and we'll put our other table stuff down here, but for each experience we want a table row. So we're going to say tr, and for a key, since this is an array that we're looping through, we need a key. Each experience has its own ID, so we can say exp._ID for the key. And then we'll have a td, which will be the company. Okay, we'll do the title as well. And then this td is going to be the dates. All right, now I'm gonna format these dates, but for now, let's say exp.to, and then we just want to do dash exp dot, or I'm sorry, this should be exp.to. This one should be from. All right, and then let's see, the last TD is going to be the delete button. So I'm going to just put a button in here with the class of btn-danger, and we'll say delete. I'm not going to add anything to that right now. All right, so that's what will be rendered for each experience. Now down here in the return, let's add a class name. I just want to add a margin bottom, so I'm going to say mb-2, which is a bootstrap class. I'm sorry, I don't want that on that. I want that on the heading. So we're going to have a heading in here, which will be an h4, and that's where we want that. So mb-4, and we'll just say experience credentials, and then we'll have our table. Table is going to have a class of table. Okay, so inside here, let's do a t head and a table row, and then for each heading we're going to do company, we're going to do title, and let's say years. All right, and then we're just going to have an empty th, because that's where the delete button is going to go. All right, so under this /tr, we're going to just put in a t body, and then this is where we want our experience rows. So we'll put in experience, which is this right here. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now what we'll do is go ahead and save this, and let me just check this real quick. Prop types is never used, don't worry about that. Let's go back to our dashboard, and there we go. So that's an experience credential. Wait a minute, this heading does not look right. I think I forgot something. Let's see, T head, T body, table row. Let me take this T body out. There we go. Okay, so this this does not look good. So we need a way to format these dates. So we're actually going to use a package called React Moment. Okay, Moment is a JavaScript library to format dates, but there's actually one that's specifically for React that we can use. So I'm going to go and I'm going to just open up another terminal, and I'm going to npm, actually let's make sure we're in our client, so cd client, and then npm install react-moment. All right, so that's all set. Now what we want to do is go up to the top here, and we want to bring that in. So let's say import moment from React-moment. And the way that this works is we use it's actually a React component. So we want to go down to where we have our dates. So right here, I'm just going to clear this out, and we're going to do moment as a component, and then we can pass in the format of the date that we want to use. So I want to use year/month/date. All right, and then the idea is to put the actual date inside here, which is going to be our exp.from. Okay, and then let's see, we're going to put, let's see, we're going to go like that, and then let's do the same thing for exp2. And let's save that. Let's see, can't resolve moment in React moment dist. And why is that? Import. You know what, let's just try and restart the server. I'm going to control C and we'll run npm run dev. Hopefully that fixes it. Nope. Oh, wow, it's really weird. Cannot find module moment. Is this a bug? Node modules, React moment, dist, index.js. Import moment from React moment. You know what, guys? I'm going to pause the video and just check this out because everything looks to be in order, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on. So give me a second. All right, guys. I made a mistake. I completely forgot that in order to use React moment, you actually need the moment library as well. It's basically just like an addition to that. So we need to install that. So let's go back to another terminal and let's npm install moment, and that should fix our issue. Sorry about that. And you know, I could have just edited this out, but this stuff happens, guys. So you know, if it's a small mistake like this, I like to keep it in because it's just real life. You know, I don't like to make complete cookie cutter tutorials where it's, you know, it's just not realistic. Things like this, they're going to happen. So now let's go back to our application and hopefully it works, which it's still not working. I may have to edit this out actually. Let's see. So we should have, if we look at package.json, we should have moment and React moment. Let's restart our server. When in doubt, restart your server. Okay, so far so good. There we go. Awesome. And look at our dates. They look much better. Now we do have somewhat of an issue. If I go to add experience and let's just say test experience test. If I choose a date, like let's say whatever, last Tuesday, let's say it's our current job, and let's submit. So look at this now. We have the start date, but the end date is invalid date. Okay, so we don't want that. So what we can do is, let's make this smaller again. Let's go back to experience and go to where we have our moment here. And instead of let's see, let's just get rid of this completely for a second, and we're just going to say moment dash, and then we're going to have an expression here. We're going to say exp.to, if it's equal to null, because that's what it is right now. If you select current, the 2 is going to be equal to null. Okay, if it's equal to null, then let's just display the text now. Okay, else then let's display what we had. I'll just copy this, paste that in, change this to 2, and that should work. Let's save. It's going to do some formatting if you have Prettier installed, and there we go. So now we have the date they started to now. I actually want to put a space in there though, so let's go right here and put a space. Yep, there we go. So now that's fixed. So now they're able to choose current, and it'll just say now on their profile, on their dashboard, and their profile when we do that. All right, so now let's handle the delete so that we can actually delete from our dashboard. Let me open up our Redux panel here. I don't feel right without it. Okay. And we can close that up. So now we want to bring in an action called delete experience. Okay, and that's going to be from //actions/profile actions. We're going to put that in down here. Delete experience, and we want to add that as a prop type, so we're going to say experience dot prop types, and we want to add delete experience prop types dot func dot is required. Okay, now we want to call delete experience when we click this button right here. So we're going to add an on click to this button. Say on click equals this dot on delete click, and then I'm just going to do our bind this here because we don't have a constructor. I'm not going to create one just to do that. So we'll add that here, and then we need to pass in the ID of the experience. So we can pass along another parameter and say exp._ID. That'll pass in the actual ID of the experience. So now let's go up here above the render, and let's create on delete click, and that's going to take in an ID. Okay, the experience ID, and then we're going to call this .props delete experience, and we're going to pass in the ID. We're also going to pass in this .props history because we want to just redirect after we delete. Okay, and we're able to do that because of with router. So let's save that. We're going to get an error because we haven't created this action yet. So let's go to our profile actions, and let's go right here, right below add education, and we want to create an action to delete an experience. All right, now I'm just going to copy add education just to save some time, and let's say delete experience. Change this, and it's going to take in the ID and history. Okay, then we have our dispatch. Then we're going to make an Axios delete request. Okay, we have an API endpoint to delete an experience. It's API/profile/experience/ and then the ID, and we can get that from this ID here. So what I'm going to do is change these to backticks instead of quotes so that we can use a template literal, and we can include a variable. We can just put in ID like that. All right, we don't need this edu data. We'll get rid of that. If it's successful, then actually, you know what? I actually don't want history. We don't need to redirect. All I'm going to do is call get profile again, which will get the updated profile. So that was actually not what I wanted to do. So we can get rid of that. And then in the then, I just want to do a dispatch. So I'll get rid of the history.push. And then we're going to do a dispatch with the type of get profile, and then the payload is going to be res.data, because when we delete an experience, it gives us back the profile with that deleted experience, okay, with that experience gone. And then this will be the same because we just want to get errors. All right, so let's save that, and let's go back to our experience and get rid of this .props history. We also don't need with router, and we don't need to wrap it down here with router. So we can get rid of that. Good. Okay, so let's try it out. So we're at our dashboard. Let's say we want to get rid of this test. I'm going to click delete, and there it goes. Okay, so it just got our profile back because we called the get profile type, and it no longer included that experience. You can see that the diff includes getting rid of that experience. Okay, instead of redirecting, this is a better way of handling it. All right, so now that we've done it for experience, the education should be simple. It's basically the same thing, it's just a different resource. So we'll get to that in the next video.